Daniel Preston here. We're coming live on YouTube this morning because the AusAlert test will be conducted next week on all compatible devices that can receive it. Now, despite the countless campaigns, PSAs and TV ads that the Australian government have been running over the past few weeks in the lead up to this national test, there are still some out there who will ultimately not be prepared yet for this new alert system. Then again, there are also people who might already be aware of the alert system and are wanting to switch it off. So before the official test gets underway, I want to break down what you, the viewers, need to know about this upcoming test and what you can do to prepare before the test happens next week. Now, as most of you are aware by now, this coming Monday, the 27th of July, 2026, an AusAlert test message will be sent to all compatible mobile devices in Australia at around 2 p.m. Right across the country, same time. So that's 2 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time in Queensland, New South Wales, the Australian Capital Territory, Victoria and Tasmania, 1:30 p.m. Australian Central Standard Time in the Northern Territory, South Australia, and Broken Hill in New South Wales, and midday in Western Australia. If you're living on Christmas Island, that's 11 a.m. AusAlert is a modern, more capable system that will get emergency alerts to more people in a more timely manner than the existing text-based emergency alert system. The system was developed in response to the 2020 Royal Commission into National Natural Disaster Arrangements, which identified the need for a more modern, reliable and nationally consistent public warning capability. Cell broadcast technology, which is used successfully in 35 other countries, is that technology, especially during fast-moving and unpredictable emergencies. The national test is a significant project milestone. It will demonstrate the full speed, volume and capability of AusAlert. The national test will assess system-wide performance checking. The system can broadcast at scale to compatible devices in near real time without network congestion. The national test also provides an opportunity for Australians to familiarise themselves with AusAlert before alerts are sent during local or national disasters, including natural hazards such as bushfires, floods or cyclones, or other security threats. AusAlert is a potentially life-saving technology. So, what do you need to do in order to prepare for AusAlert? Well, firstly, to receive AusAlert notifications, you need to have one of the following devices. If you're using an Apple iPhone, you will need an iPhone 11 or newer, or the iPhone SE second generation or newer, and be running iOS 26.4 or later. Users on the latest developer and public beta builds of iOS 27 will also get the upcoming AusAlert. Any iPhones older than that, for example, iPhones dropped from iOS 26 software support, such as the iPhone XR and iPhone XS series, or iPhones running a version of iOS 26 earlier than iOS 26.4, currently does not support AusAlert and therefore will not receive the upcoming test. For Apple Watch users, you need to have an Apple Watch SE second or third generation or Series 6 or newer and be running watchOS 26.4 or later. Developer and public beta builds of watchOS 27 also qualify for AusAlert. Any Apple Watches older than that, or Apple Watches running a version of watchOS 26 earlier than 26.4, currently does not support AusAlert at all. So, if you have an old iPhone or Apple Watch that officially doesn't meet the current AusAlert compatibility requirements, you will need to upgrade to a device that officially supports these versions. And if you're running an earlier version of either iOS or watchOS 26, it's best to update to the latest version of these OSs now before the national test gets underway. Currently, as of streaming or broadcasting, the latest version of iOS is iOS 26.5.2. If you're using an Android device, you will need it to be running Android 12 or later. If you have an older Android phone running Android 11 or earlier, or a device that doesn't use iOS, watchOS or Android, you may still receive AusAlerts. But this, of course, is not fully guaranteed. And as for Apple iPads, well, they do not support AusAlert, regardless of whether you have a cellular model or not, and if you're also running, say, iPadOS 26.4 or later to try and meet the requirements to get AusAlert. Simply put, they will not receive them. So, now, of course, what do you do? What do you need to do if you get an AusAlert? Well, as this is a test, simply and plainly put out, you essentially don't need to do anything. Remember, this is only a test. What you will get is a critical alert test notification that looks like a loud siren-like sound that will sound like this. Now, of course, in a real emergency, you should pay attention to these AusAlerts as they will have the most up-to-date information in an emergency and they could save your life. Now, in terms of safety, if receiving an AusAlert test will disrupt you or cause you and your family to feel unsafe, particularly if you have a safety phone that you use, the important thing to note is that AusAlert overrides the silent mode and do not disturb functions on your phone to send out critical emergency alerts. You cannot turn off priority, well, actually, yes, you can turn off priority AusAlerts, excuse me, but you cannot turn off critical AusAlerts. So I'm going to repeat that again. You can turn off priority AusAlerts, but you can't turn off critical AusAlerts. The advice here is that you turn off your mobile device or switch them to aeroplane mode at least 1 hour before the scheduled test time. Of course, the Guide to Staying Safe during the AusAlert National Test recommends that you leave your device off or have it in aeroplane mode for at least 24 hours after the test. Not until after 3 p.m, not 12 hours after the test, but a full 24 hours after the test commences, or of course from the time of when you put it on before the test, of course, like turn the phone off or put it into airplane mode. Now, of course, here's how to turn off your iPhone or Apple Watch if you're not tech savvy. For Apple devices such as iPhones and Apple Watches, if your device uses Face ID, press and hold the right-hand side button and either volume button at the same time until sliders appear, which of course will be the power off slider and emergency SOS calling. Drag the slide to power off slider from left to right. If your device has a home button, press and hold the right hand side button until the slider appears. Drag the slide to power off slider from left to right. To turn either device back on, press and hold the right hand side button until the Apple logo appears. Now for most Android devices, press and hold the power button on either the left or right side of your device until the power menu appears. Press the power off button. To turn your device back on, press and hold the power button until the logo of your device manufacturer appears. Now, follow these instructions to stay safe during the national test. 1 hour before the national test, on Monday the 27th of July 2026, turn your safety devices off or switch them to aeroplane mode if they have it. Depending on where you are, the 1 hour before the test time will be as follows. In Queensland, New South Wales, Australian Capital Territory, Victoria and Tasmania, it'll be 1 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. In the Northern Territory, South Australia and Broken Hill in New South Wales, that's 12:30 p.m. Australian Central Standard Time. In Western Australia, that's 11 a.m. and on Christmas Island, 10 a.m. Also, 3. Also turn off any safety devices used by children in your care. 4. Keep all safety devices turned off or in aeroplane mode for 24 hours. Depending on where you are, this of course means you can turn your devices back on in Queensland, New South Wales, Australian Capital Territory, Victoria and Tasmania, as I already mentioned again, at 1 p.m. Tuesday, 28th of July 2026. Northern Territory, South Australia, Broken Hill in New South Wales, that's 12:30 p.m. Western Australia, 11 a.m. Christmas Island, 10 a.m. Now, pardon me just for a second. Now, how do I switch my device to aeroplane mode? Now, if you're using an Apple device, such as an iPhone or Apple Watch, to turn aeroplane mode on, you go to Settings, So basically launch the control center on your phone. So go to settings, or you can launch a control center from the top right, the top right side. Turn the aeroplane mode toggle on, and an aeroplane mode icon should appear at the top of the screen. To turn aeroplane mode back off, go to settings, turn the aeroplane mode toggle off, and the aeroplane icon at the top of the screen should disappear. For Android devices such as phones and some tablets and smartwatches, to turn aeroplane mode on, which can be found on most Androids, go to settings, tap on network and internet, turn the aeroplane mode toggle on, and an aeroplane mode should appear at the top of the screen. You can also launch your Android phone's control center if aeroplane mode is in it. To turn aeroplane mode back off, also on most Androids, go to settings, tap on network and internet, and turn aeroplane mode toggle off. So repeat those same settings again, but to turn the aeroplane mode off. And then the aeroplane mode icon at the top of the screen should disappear altogether. Now, you can trust AusAlert because AusAlert has been developed by the Australian government and is safe and secure. Only authorised emergency services organisations and the Australian government can send AusAlerts. AusAlert won't require you to sign up, ask for personal or financial details, know or store your personal information or phone number, track your location or share your location history, even if your device is connected to a shared ID. Now, what should you do if you receive the AusAlert National Test on your safety device? If your safety device is turned on and receives the AusAlert National Test, it may make a loud siren-like sound for about 10 seconds and then stop. Because this is a test, this should only happen once. Simple advice here, try to stay calm. If you aren't safe, call 000 straight away and follow your safety plan. In an actual disaster, you may receive more than one AusAlert if new information about the emergency is shared. Existing warning channels such as websites, radio, social media and television remain instrumental in the safety of all Australians. Here in Geelong, our local emergency broadcasters, official emergency broadcasters on the radio are Bay 93.9 and K-Rock 955, your official commercial emergency broadcasters. The Australian Government will be running AusAlert alongside the existing text-based emergency alert system for this higher risk weather season for 2026 into early 2027 as they continue to work with emergency services on the AusAlert rollout. Now, in the Geelong region, only 2 suburbs received their AusAlert community test last month, Belmont and Highton. This test, however, covers our entire show's coverage area. It does not matter where you live in the Geelong, Bellarine Peninsula or Surf Coast regions. You will get the AusAlert test. Now, I was in Warren Ponds at the time of the community test, so I was not in the mentioned suburbs where the test was taking place when that localised test was happening. But I do know that regardless of where I am in the Geelong, Bellarine and Surf Coast regions next week, this time I will be getting an AusAlert notification on my phone. Thank you very much for taking the time to spend some time with us and to listen to some very important public safety information and information on AusAlerts in general. Make sure you stay safe and have a vital plan to ensure you can get yourself through the AusAlert system. And stay tuned to your local broadcasters for more up-to-date information. I'll be providing another piece of information a day before the AusAlert test occurs, and hint, hint, I may even hold a stream when the test occurs altogether. We'll have to wait and see. For now, though, I'm Daniel Preston, and thank you for your company this morning on this day of important information and, of course, significance in our history. We shall see you next time when we go live again or when there's more information or anything happening around our region. Until then, I'm being Daniel Preston for the Daniel Preston Show. Thank you for your company and have a great rest of your day. Bye for now. The Daniel Preston Show.
When a disaster strikes, knowing what to do helps keep you safe. Introducing AusAlert, a new emergency messaging system that sends near-instant alerts to compatible mobile devices during local and national disasters. As part of the national rollout, we'll be sending a test alert to your mobile device around 2 p.m. AEST on Monday the 27th of July. AusAlert helps keep you informed. Authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.